Way up in the heart of Assam, India, sitting on a hill that looks over this massive river, there is one of the most powerful and, honestly, unusual sacred sites on the entire planet, the Kamakhya Temple. It's a place where myth, nature, and the divine feminine all come together in a way that you just won't find anywhere else. It really makes you rethink what a temple can even be.
So keep this question in your head as we go through this. What if the most holy, most revered object in a temple wasn't some statue carved by human hands, but a living, breathing part of the earth? Because at Kamakhya, that's exactly what's going on.
All right, so the very first thing that makes Kamakhya so different, and this is probably the most important part, is what you don't see when you get to its inner sanctum.
That's right. In the holiest of holies, the Garbhagriha, or womb house, there is no statue of a goddess. Nope. Instead, what everyone bows down to is a natural formation in the rock.
And listen, this isn't just any old rock. It's a stone shaped like a yoni, and yoni is the Sanskrit word for the womb, the source of all life. But here's the part that's just incredible. It's constantly being bathed by a natural underground spring, so it's always wet. It's a living, breathing symbol of fertility and the Earth's creative power.
So you have to be asking, why this spot? Why is this particular rock formation so deeply revered? Well, the answer is wrapped up in one of Hinduism's most powerful and ancient myths.
The story goes like this. The goddess Sati died, and her husband, Lord Shiva, was so overcome with grief that he just carried her body across the universe, totally lost. To snap him out of it and save creation, the god Vishnu used his discus to break her body into pieces, and wherever a piece fell to earth, that spot became sacred. The legend says that Sati's yoni, her womb, fell right here on Nilachal Hill, and that's what made this ground so holy, turning it into this supercharged center of divine feminine energy.
These places are called Shakti Pitas. Shakti means power or energy, specifically that divine, feminine, creative power. So a Shakti Pita is literally a seat of power, a place just buzzing with the goddess's direct presence. And Kamakhya, because it's the site of the yoni, is seen as one of the most powerful of them all.
Now, this powerful myth isn't just some abstract story. It is deeply, deeply connected to the actual physical landscape of the temple. I mean, just picture it. The temple is about 800 feet up on Nilachal Hill, and it looks out over the gigantic Brahmaputra River. The hill itself is ancient stone, and that natural spring we talked about, it flows all year round. So you have this combination of high ground, ancient rock, flowing water, and that huge river below. It all just reinforces this powerful symbolism of life, fertility, and divinity being rooted in nature itself.
And this brings us to the temple's most famous and maybe its most radical celebration. We're talking about a festival that takes a natural biological cycle and treats it as a divine event. It's called the Ambubachi Mela. Every single year during the monsoon season, the belief is that the goddess, and by extension, Mother Earth herself, goes through her annual period of menstruation. And this isn't something that's hidden or treated like a taboo. Oh no, it is celebrated as the absolute peak of her creative and life-giving power. So the festival has this really clear cycle. For 3 days, the temple's inner sanctum is completely closed. The goddess is left alone to rest. During this time, activities like farming, anything that might disturb the earth, are put on pause. Then, on the 4th day, the temple reopens, and there's this massive celebration. Devotees get these small pieces of red cloth, which are said to have been soaked in the sacred waters and are considered a powerful blessing of fertility. So as you can probably guess, this unique focus on raw, primal, feminine energy has made Kamakhya the absolute, undisputed epicenter of a very specific spiritual path in Hinduism called Tantra, a tradition that worships divine energy, or Shakti, in all its forms.
And this is really what sets Kamakhya apart. While most Hindu temples focus on idols of gods and goddesses, often male deities or divine couples like Shiva and Parvati, Kamakhya is all about worshiping nature itself as the divine. The focus isn't on a personality, it's on Shakti, that raw cosmic energy of creation. And what's really unique is that it celebrates this feminine power all on its own, without a male counterpart.
And believe me, this reverence has some deep, deep roots. The site was considered sacred way back in ancient times, long before the temple you see today was even built. By the 7th century, it had already become a major hub for tantric traditions, and its influence just kept going. Even after it was destroyed in the medieval period, it was rebuilt in 1565 and continued to grow, really cementing its role as a spiritual powerhouse for centuries.
So, when you pull all these threads together, the myth, the geography, the rituals, what is the real core message of Kamakhya? What's it all about?
Well, it's a place that honors the raw, untamed power of creation and fertility. It celebrates the divine feminine in its most elemental, fundamental form. It even embraces desire, Kama, as a sacred force. And maybe most importantly, it takes a natural cycle like menstruation, something that's so often hidden away, and lifts it up as a moment for divine celebration, totally uniting nature and divinity as one and the same.
At the end of the day, as one source put it so perfectly, Kamakhya is a sacred space that's just different because it embraces the most fundamental parts of life, nature, femininity, and all its cycles, completely openly and without any taboo.
And that brings us right back to our first question, but now it feels even bigger, doesn't it? Kamakhya isn't just a temple to a goddess, it's a temple to the very act of creation. It asks us to see the divine not in a perfectly carved statue, but in the earth right under our feet and in the life force that flows through everything. So what does it really mean to worship that? That is definitely something to think about.